It's no mystery that I'm actually wearing the first watch. It's a dream watch for me. It's called Grail Watch 1, and it's in fact the collaboration between Benoît Mintiens, the founder of Ressence, and one of my favorite guys in watchmaking. I would say a kind of a agent provocateur, an incredible artist, an interior architect, but also a dream maker, and his name is Alain Silberstein. The watch, which is on my wrist, is something that we've decided to create as our first Grail watch. And it's very interesting because, you know, when I was talking to Alain, I started to get to know him over the last couple of years, and I was asking him, you know, is there anyone that you would love to collaborate with in watchmaking, you know, that you haven't had the opportunity to? Of course, he had by this point had amazing collaborations with Max Büsser.
Oh, yes.
And of course with Louis Hérard, you know, our friend Manuel Emch. And he said, yeah, there's a guy that I love, and he actually, like myself, is not from watchmaking, yet has made an incredible sort of achievement for himself to enter watchmaking and really carve out like a really unique vision. And his name is Benoît Mintiens, and he created Ressence. And, and it made me flash back to 2010 when I was at the Basel Fair, you know, and there was this place called the Watch Palace, which is actually kind of ironically named because it was a bit of a dump. It was the tent where all the indies were showing. I don't know who came up with the name Watch Palace, but it was the cool place to be because like it was all where all the energy was, all the creativity was, you know, and everyone would go there and have beers and chill out and see what was going on. And like that whole tent was abuzz with Benoît and what he'd created for Ressence. And bear in mind also, by this point, you know, we'd had the financial crisis. Like a lot of the creativity in watchmaking, I mean, the really wild kind of creativity had dried up. Everyone was afraid to do anything, and then you had this guy, this kind of crazy young upstart from Antwerp, who like showed up, and then he had this crazy watch with like, it's basically, you know, a huge planetary system driven by, you know, the minute wheel. So you've got a big minute hand rotating around the dial, but then you've got sub dials inside of it, one for the seconds, one for the days of the week, one for the hours, all rotating within at their own speed as well, right? And I think what we loved about it, like, is that looking at it, it wasn't just a gimmick, it wasn't just a cool looking watch, but it just was so intuitive to read, so easy to understand, yet no one had ever done it.
It's always the courage of the risk takers, you know, that create something iconoclastic. Yeah, like you said, it's no one had ever seen before. And like, how do you tell the time? And when you look at a Ressence, you know, at first glance, it's like, how does it work? There's no crown.
Yeah, well, especially this one because, you know, so when I first talked to Alain, and he was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And what's really amazing is how quickly he works, right? So he'd like gone off, he'd done the sketches, and he like emailed them to me, and I was about to open them. And I remember I expected that he would use his sort of, you know, Kandinsky questionnaire geometric forms, right? A triangle, a circle, and a square, and that would be the hands of the Ressence watch. And I saw something that was completely different, was insane looking, but I loved it, right? So I immediately rang him up and I was like, Alan, what the hell am I looking at? I love it, but what the hell am I looking at? And he started laughing. And he said that he was actually really inspired by this still life painting called Vanitas. Okay. It's an allegory for men's mortality, right? So it's done by Philippe Champagne, and it's got a skull, which tells you that man is mortal. It's got a tulip, which is wilting, which tells you time is passing, tempus fugit, right? Okay. And then it's got an hourglass, which shows you that time is constantly, you know, on the move, right? So every moment is a moment that you don't get back, right? And I was like, okay, I get that. And he said, well, he wanted to create his version of that. So he didn't need an hourglass because the watch itself is a time-telling device, but he wanted to incorporate the skull, which he did for the seconds indicator, and then he wanted to incorporate the tulip, which he's used for the hour indicator as well. I
would love to know why he used that symbolism for the seconds and, you know.
Yeah, actually, yes. You know, well, he said that he just thought the idea of a skull that was rotating once every 60 seconds was very charming. And then he also wanted a cute, what he said, a kawaii skull. So he wanted a cute skull, right? Exactly. Which everyone that's looked at it has said that, yeah, it's really kawaii, actually. But yeah, that was the inspiration for this watch. So we're just going to make 36 of them. I was wearing this watch on my wrist throughout Watches and Wonders for many days, and I have to say that the response has been pretty incredible. Even people that I consider to be massive heroes of mine have somehow connected with it and even have wanted to purchase one. Right. So the first guy that bought the #1 piece was a guy that is, to me, a mythological deity in the world of independent watchmaking, and that's Max Büsser.
Whoa, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's strong show of support.
I mean, it's insane, you know. So I remember, he and I we'd had lunch in Geneva, and then we're walking around, I think, Globus department store. And then I mentioned to him what I was up to. I was telling him about Grail Watch, and he said, well, can you show me the design of your first watch? So I showed it to him, and he looked at it for like, I would say 10 seconds, and he said, okay, save me piece number one.
Wow.
And I was like, I can't believe it. It's like when one of the guys you respect the most and who has contributed the most to independent watchmaking wants to buy your watch. I mean, it's mind-blowing, right?
I'm sure you would have wanted piece number one, but if you had to give it away, you would give it to Max.
Happily,
right?
Happily. So we actually did an unboxing video of him receiving piece number one in my apartment in Geneva, where I'm going to be spending half the year. And if you guys are in Geneva, stop by, have a drink, hang out, have a drink, have a Negroni. But yeah, we did this incredible video of him unboxing the watch and putting it on. And he also spoke so beautifully and eloquently about independent watchmaking, about his affection for Benoît, who he considers to be extraordinary, Alain Silberstein, of course, who he has a long-standing tradition of collaboration with. But it was an incredible moment for me. Like, I was just so grateful for that.
So now that we know this is the first collaboration, I think what many people out there want to know is, will there be a MB&F collaboration in the future?
There's no plan at the moment, and I'm too shy to propose that. But
I tried, guys. We'll see.
But so Alain Silberstein now will become one of our first artists in residence. So we might expect to see other watches with him and other brands that I really like. We made 36 of these because in the Jewish religion there is a belief that there are any given time on the planet there are 36 righteous individuals, and through their good acts, through their altruistic acts, through their acts of menschkeit, they are saving the world, basically, right?
Right.
And to me, and this is what I told Max, is like, look, I don't know who the other 35 are, but considering he was the guy that sort of initially championed independent watchmaking, he was the guy that has now created one of the coolest brands around, which incidentally is innovative, and I would say market leading in both like ultra modern watches, the horological machines, but also classic watches with the legacy machines. He's absolutely the man, and he's a super ethical guy, and I'll give you two examples of that. One is that last year he donated a PS Unique Mad 1 to our charity auction, the Pink Dial Project, which benefited breast cancer, and that watch sold for $172,000. So he basically made a donation of $172,000 to this incredible initiative, which was so cool of him. And then the other thing that he's done is he, out of nowhere, he created the Mad 1 itself, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just so impressed, with the Mad 1 Red and how democratic the process has been. We talk about the wait list, we talk about watches that are unobtainable, but this ballot system, I really hope more companies can do this.
I think it's the fairest way to do it, and I know, so what was so special about the Mad 1 is you have Max Buser, who's, the majority of his watches, by necessity, are extremely expensive, right? I think they're probably $100,000 starting point, or something around there. So then you have him intentionally create an incredibly accessibly priced watch. The first one was like 1,900 Swiss francs, right?
Yes.
And that was created so that his friends and his family, like members of the tribe, people who work with him, his collaborators and suppliers, they could have a Max Buser watch, right?
Yeah.
But then of course that watch becomes like this global phenomenon. Everyone's trying to buy one. I think they're like 30 grand in the secondary market as well. So then he comes with the first kind of public offering. And then it was interesting because it was like, how did you allocate these? And he said, listen, and I should also mention he and Harris, because Harris is an incredible part of this journey as well, an incredible part of that project. They were like, if you at some point had wrote us an email and expressed really clearly and passionately why you would want one of these watches, then the likelihood is we would have allocated you one.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't work if it's already been launched and you're like, hey, but in the interim period between the launch of the first one and then now, they looked at all the emails, they realized there's so many people who wanted one, and so they created that watch as well.
That's perfectly fair.
Exactly. And then the remaining watches, so I think there was now, probably more, but last time I saw them, there was over 20,000 applicants.
Wow.
They're going to do a lottery system, which I think is the fairest.
Because one of my biggest gripes is you see the same watches in the same hands on Instagram.
Right.
So, I hope, watchmaking at that level can be shared, and we can all share the passion.
Well, I mean, that brings up a good point as well, because we had the same question related to how do we allocate these watches, right? And in the end, we want it to be really fair about it, right? So, and transparent. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to release it on the 1st of May. I believe the time was going to be 10 p.m. Singapore time or 10 a.m. New York time, and then of course Europe will be, correctly compensated for with that time spread as well, and just like have a countdown and let people know exactly when it's going to be released, and try to also ensure that it's done in the fairest way possible, right? So we're trying to avoid bots, we're trying to avoid resellers if we can.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, bear, if you want one of these, and I hope you do, bear with us. And if you, for whatever reason, are unable to get one of these, please hang on, because there will be another Alain Silberstein project coming later this summer, which will be created in a more accessible price point, first of all, and then second of all, in slightly larger quantities too. So I guess that's chapter 1, is dream collaborations.
So mark your calendars, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. So May 1st is the date. Thank you very much, Jeremiah.
Thanks, Wei. Looking
Pleasure.
forward to it.
And Bandit, what do you have to say? Grail Watch, Grail Watch, Grail Watch, Grail Watch. All right.
We can't wait.
Thank you
care,
very
guys.
much. Bye, guys.